My name is Eric, and I quit my job to travel around the country for 1 year in a teardrop trailer. From Florida to California to Washington to the Canadian Rockies to Maine and back to Florida. It's always been my dream to see the entire United States, and I'm doing it. I'm escaping normal life. Hello. Well, I am in Shenandoah National Park today, and I'm on one of the trails, but there's also a road not too far from me, so there might be a little bit of road noise from time to time, so I apologize for that. You know, one of the reasons I got out here on the road was to just get away from everything. I'm not really a big city kind of person. I prefer to be out here in nature. I wanted to get away from the crowds, the noise, the concrete. But as a solo traveler, I also wanted to make sure that I'm connected to the outside world if ever there's an emergency. Now, it's just me out here. I'm a solo traveler, and so that means if an emergency ever was to happen, I don't have someone else's cell phone around me all the time that I can say, hey, my cell phone isn't getting a good cell phone connection, but is yours getting a good cell phone connection? Maybe you have a different cell phone provider. But I have a pretty new phone, and the beauty about new phones is they have dual SIM support. Now, I have an iPhone, but this is not just limited to iPhone capabilities. Most modern day smartphones are going to have the ability to have two cell phone lines on it. My personal phone has an eSIM and a physical SIM. Now, a physical SIM is something that most people are going to be familiar with. It's an actual little plastic thing that goes inside of your phone. It kind of looks like maybe a memory chip or a little SD card that fits inside your phone, and it gives you connection to the outside world. Most phones nowadays are going to something called eSIM, and that stands for electronic SIM. And all that means is instead of a physical SIM that comes out of your cell phone, it's a little chip inside of your phone that stays in there all the time. And the beauty about an eSIM is you can reuse it over and over and over again. So if I want to go from Verizon to AT&T to T-Mobile, I can do that. But a physical SIM means you have to go get a new SIM card every time. If you want to get a new number, if you want to get a new cell phone provider, anything. Well, regardless, my primary cell phone provider is T-Mobile. But I knew that getting out here on the road, T-Mobile would not have the best coverage. I knew that someone like Verizon or AT&T would have a much better coverage map. So that's what I did. I went out and I got Verizon also on my phone. I put T-Mobile on my eSIM and I put Verizon on my physical SIM. And what that does is that just gives me the beauty of being able to have cell phone connection on two different networks, but only on one phone. I don't have to go and buy another $1,000 phone or even a cheap phone. I can just do everything on one phone. And because of the smartphone and it's connected to the internet, that gives me twice as many possibilities to be connected to the internet versus just say one cell phone company. So if my T-Mobile line is not getting very good cell phone coverage or very good internet, maybe it's only getting 3G internet, but my Verizon's getting 4G internet, I can switch back and forth. I'm driving all the time in new places, so I want to get GPS directions real easily to places. You know, sometimes when it's nighttime and I'm bored, I'll watch Hulu or I'll watch YouTube on my phone. So you need internet to do those kind of things. Now, fortunately, I film everything on my phone, so I can't hold like a real camera up to my phone and show you everything on my phone. But I'm gonna switch real quick to the settings in my phone. You're gonna see a screen come up where it's just gonna be settings, and you'll hear my voice just kind of talk about how I kind of set this up. So if you're interested in setting up two different lines on your cell phone, this hopefully will help you out. Now, my particular phone is an iPhone 13 Pro, but again, this is not limited to iPhone capabilities. Any modern smartphone will have these capabilities. You might have two physical SIMs, you might have two eSIMs. Whatever it is, you probably have the ability to get two different cell phone providers on your phone. So here's how I did it on mine. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and start here on settings. As I go into settings, I'm gonna tap on cellular. And when you're in cellular, you have cellular data at the very top, personal hotspot below that, default voice line, and then under that you have your SIMs, travel, and primary. Now, under travel, that is my Verizon number, and under primary, that is my T-Mobile number. We're going to go to the very top, though. We're going to talk first about cellular data. Here is where you're going to tell your phone which of the two lines you are choosing to use for your internet cellular data at the moment. Currently, mine is set up for my primary, that is my T-Mobile line, and if I was to tap on travel, you'll see up in the top right where it has LTE and a little bar, that just switched over. So if I swipe down from that right now, you're going to see that Verizon's at the very top of that, and under Verizon I have, it says LTE, and it shows 2 bars, and under that it says T-Mobile 1 bar, and it has a little indicator T and P for travel or primary, so it can tell it just by that visual cue. I can tell which line I'm actually using. And the reason I'm not getting good reception right now in either line is because I'm in a national park and there's never good reception in them. If I tap away, I can switch that back to primary. That'll go back to my T-Mobile line. And if I swipe down, funny enough, it jumped to like 3 bars, and I'm getting 5G internet. So 5G internet, 3 bars is better than LTE 4G, 2 bars on T-Mobile. So for right now, I'm just going to keep on my T-Mobile line, and I'm going to tap away to hide that. Under this section, you can also go to cellular data switching. Now that little switch is supposed to toggle your internet back and forth, and the phone is supposed to choose the better of the two. I don't find that it works too well. I usually just go in there manually and tell my phone to use either my Verizon number or my T-Mobile number as my internet, whichever is getting the better. But I usually tell my phone which of the two I want to use. I do leave this switch on, this green switch, for allow data switching. I just don't find that it works too well. All right, I'm going to tap back a setting. We're going to go back to the previous screen. I'm going to go past personal hotspot, and we're going to go to default voice line. So this is where you would tell your phone which of the 2 numbers you have that you want to choose to use your primary phone number. This is the number that you would almost always use to call somebody. But on an iPhone, you can go into your contact settings and you can tell each contact which phone number you would like to use more. Like if I want to use my travel line for my parents, but call my brother on my primary number, I could do that. I don't have to always have just this section dictate which of the 2 lines is always going to make my phone calls. So I'm going to go back here in settings again, back a screen, and now we're going to go down to SIMs. Now here is where you're going to add an eSIM if that's what you want to do. So under add eSIM, this screen pops up and this is what you would get. Set up cellular. So it tells you can either transfer from another iPhone or use a QR code. If I was maybe getting a brand new phone and I had this old phone here next to my brand new phone, I could easily switch the phone number from this phone over to the brand new phone. Under QR code, that is something you would actually get from the service provider like T-Mobile, Verizon, AT&T, whoever. They're going to usually email you that. When you first get set up with an eSIM, you're going to choose your carrier of choice, reach out to them, and they're going to send you a QR code. Now, the beauty of an eSIM is you don't have to actually go to a real physical store. You can actually do everything at home. I set up my eSIM on my T-Mobile line, all online, all in my apartment back home before I started traveling. And I picked the plan I wanted, and then I said, choose eSIM. And what they did is they emailed me, I think I remember, they emailed me a eSIM, and I just followed the instructions in these settings. Now, a physical SIM's a little different. You have to go down to an actual store, they have to give you a SIM card, they have to program it, and that's fine, there's nothing wrong with that, but I'm often out here in nature. I'm not always around a physical store somewhere where I can get to do that. So this is much easier. If for some reason one of my cell phone providers on one side of the country was just not giving me very good cell phone coverage at all, I could do everything on my own on my phone directly and switch one of those to AT&T or I don't know, whatever network is available. You know, I know a lot of people are going to ask, well, why don't you just get Starlink? That's a really good solution to being able to boondock and go off the grid and still be connected to the outside world. And that is a great solution. I'd love to get Starlink. However, Starlink costs quite a bit of money to get set up and running with it. And I am not working, so I can't afford Starlink right now. But it is something I plan on doing in the future as I continue to travel. It's an investment I know that will definitely pay off. I can be in really remote places and still be connected to the internet and the outside world. And that's basically it. I don't know much more to really talk about in this video other than how I set it up and why I did it. You know, you can see that one network was getting slightly better coverage than another network, and so it gives me the freedom to make sure that I'm connected as much as possible while I'm out here traveling alone. All right, well, that's really about it. Thanks for escaping normal life with me. If you like, check out my Instagram where I'm posting daily pictures and reels from the road.